A short while ago, PFA suggested that the Petanque App, which was developed by a kicker tool company in Germany, could be used to score petanque. Kicker tool have provided us with an updated version that actually relates to petanque, and it looks like this. This is what it opens up like. So how do you get this far? Well, you go to the PFA homepage, and on the documents link towards the bottom of the page, you'll find this document, the Petanque App. If you go to page 2, there is the link you need to get this program running. It runs perfectly well in Windows and under Apple Mac. It says it runs under Linux, but we've not tested it. And when you run it, that's what you get to start with. There's 3 main areas to think about. This is the central part of the screen where most of the action takes place. Up here, there's a few links and icons that you'll need, and these change as you run the event. And over here is the left pane, and if you click on it, it expands. You can see what these links mean. And again, these links and icons will change as an event proceeds. So I'll just minimize that. If you have an event running, you can add further events, but if there's nothing running, and this is a brand new time you've used the program, you get this sad creature here. So we'll create a new event. And the events are the sort of standard ones you get in petanque: round robin, random round, Swiss system, doubles, mix and match. If you want to know what an event sort of means, you can click on the little 3 dots. But in fact, it's got a few errors in it because it relates back to table football, but they all work fine. And the doubles super melee, where 2 players are drawn at random to play another 2 players. The biggest downside of the program at the moment is there isn't a triples super melee and a couple of other more important events. Off this panel, you wouldn't normally start the elimination or double elimination, but you could. I'll come back to that in a minute. So let's do what it says. Select a draw, random rounds. Number of lanes. Let's, for the sake of argument, let's have 10 lanes. Points to win is 13. Come back to that later. The buy rating, turn it on just in case you have an odd number of teams. And if you do, the normal buy score will be 13-7. Right. So the next thing to do is to get the teams in. If it was a singles event, you can use this. If it's a teams event with 2 or 3 players per team, you can use this. But in fact, these do exactly the same thing, where you add participants. Don't use this one. It's a historical reference to something kicker tool use, which doesn't work for petanque. So click on this. Now I could actually start typing. Let's assume David Shaw has agreed to team up with me. And you can do that. But if you've got 32 teams to put in or something, that's a bit painful. So let's think of a better way of doing it. Go up here. It says import participants. Okay, where would they come from? Well, they might come from somewhere like this. Let's take these 7 teams here, doubles teams, copy them, and minimize this. Go back here and hit the import participants link here. Just click on here, Control V to copy, get rid of that, and import them. And here they are. There's 7 teams. If you want to check the spelling of these teams and alter it maybe and add another team later on, you can do that. But for the moment, we will click next because unfortunately, and this is one of the downsides of this program, nothing has been saved yet, not the event nor the teams. Click next. If you want to break them into groups, you can do that. You don't want to, so we'll click next again and we'll give it a name. Let's say, for the sake of argument, it's men's doubles, D-U-B-L-E-S. And now directly you click start event, then in fact everything is saved, as it says down the bottom here. You'll notice there were 7 teams, so there's only 3 games going, and the 7th team has been given the 13-7 win, so 13 4 points. The delta is 6, and they've got 1 win. These are the lanes. If you go over to here, there is the lanes icon. Click on there, and let's say, for the sake of argument, we'll pull these out. I'm deactivating them, and you'll see them come off the main screen over here. Let's put them back in. They'll go back in the order down this column that we click on them. I'll activate 10, 9, 8. I'll activate 7, which won't get used because I don't need it, but I'll do that. Close that. And let me put in the scores. The scores are very simple to put in. If Dan has got 6 points and has obviously lost, the 13 will automatically pop up, but if it was actually a timed game, you can change that. Let's do this, we'll do 13. Let's say it was 13-0. You'll notice here there isn't a 0 because the screen on my laptop's a bit small, so we click on that line there, and that shows us, we double click in this case, the remaining scores. There's 13-0, and let's do this one here, and let's just, it was 10-13 that way. Confirm, and there is the ranking table after game 1. You can show the results here if you want to, but it's not of much interest after 1 round, and we can go back. Wins, delta, points for. Let's supposing now that someone turns up and we have the ability to put another team in. So I'm going to add another team. So here we go. Add. So it will warn you that it's actually prepared further games, but now it has to update those. So just hit delete games. It's deleting the future games and setting up a new draw. And in fact, if you do it before you move to the next round, it gives you the options to put this game in. And let's say, of course, we're unbeatable. And so that's the way you can get new teams in, and you can correct spellings, and away we go. The one downside of this program is, even though it says, as I will show you, let's click on here, it says you can remove the teams. You can't. It says it's removed, but they aren't. They unfortunately rather cause a problem. So never remove or even mark absent. You can rename teams or you can add teams. Minimize this, get this out of the way. Okay, new round. You can draw new rounds anytime you like, but it's best to wait till you've finished the first round before you draw round 2. So there's this, and it will reallocate the same lanes that you've had over here, and that's fine, and it will allocate them as they are released from here. If you wish to change the lane numbers, you can go back and do as I did before. If you want to print off score sheets, here's a print button up here. You can print the score sheets or the table. We're interested in the score sheets for round 2. Yes, print. If you've allocated lanes, it will put the lane number here. And so you can put that on the score table and people can come up and put their scores in afterwards. But we won't worry with that now, and we'll get rid of that. So, and we can run round 2. Let's suppose, because I called this the men's doubles, let's go back to the home page and accept the fact there's also, in parallel with this, a women's doubles. So I can start a new event, random rounds, number of lanes, I'll put in 5. The rest of it is the same. I will always click on the buy rating and turn it on unless it's a round robin. You leave it off. Next, teams. I'm going to import them. And in fact, they're on this random list of names here. There's another lot of names here. I'll copy them. I'll close that. I'll put it here. And I'll do that. Import. And if I hit next, I can start this second game. I would normally do this at the beginning and both games would be going together, both events would be going together. If you want to randomize these names, here's a shuffle button. So you can shuffle if you want to, and nothing has been saved until you hit next, and then next again, and we'll call this women's doubles. Start it. And now if you go back to the home page, when you want to score the men's event, you click on this one. When you want to score the women's event, you click on this one. This allows you to change the name of the event. And then accept it, change that, accept that. This allows me to delete it. This allows me to save it to my download folder. So here it is here, men's doubles, kick it all, save it, okay. And this will delete the file. I didn't mean to do that. That will delete the file. Can I recover it? I can, because what I can do, rather than clicking on new event, I can actually import an existing event. If I go here, it will go to my downloads folder, and here is the event. When I put it back in and I start it going again, it goes back to exactly where it was. If I want to start the women's event, I just do that, and that hasn't had any scores put in, but that's the way you can run two parallel events. I'll go back to the men's event. We finished round 1. Imagine there was 4 qualifying rounds and we've actually run the 4 rounds. Then you could start the elimination finals. It defaults to a standard single elimination knockout. You could use a double elimination, but that tends not to be used in Petanque. We could click on the game for 3rd place. And it asks us for the number of elimination trees. We'll stick with 1. We'll name it Principal Men, and the placings will default to 1 to, we've only had 8 teams, so I'll make that 1 to 4. If we wanted to, we could click on here and make it 2 trees and give it a name, complementaire, but we might just go back and keep the single tree with top 4 teams. Quick entry means that you don't have to put the scores in, you just identify who's won, but we'll leave it as it is and everything else stays the same. And you can start that and it comes up looking in the way you'd expect a knockout series to work, and you put the scores in exactly the same way as before, and eventually it will tell you the winners. Again, somewhere along the line, you would go back and do the same thing and put the scores in for the women's doubles, and you can have an elimination for them. And again, you'd have 4, and you'd call that Principal Women, and you start that, and then you can see this is the 4 women's teams. And if you go back here, and you're worried, the men are still at the stage, but you can't show them both together. You have to keep going back to the home page for the particular event you want to put the scores in. There's a fair bit more you can do with this program, but we'll call it a day for the moment. I'll come back with another one a bit later.